Remind me to never use that intro again.
That was actually really bad.
Where's the
That
old school
was
intro,
shocking.
man?
But we are live. We are rocking and rolling. We got 5 on tonight. Sometimes we struggle with 3. Sometimes, it's just Bill because I've got technology issues and you got to kind of hold the fort. But tonight we are rocking and rolling. We got the usual Bill. Henry's back. A couple of weeks, big times at work. You're back. We have our new throw-in now, Miss Snowlana, which is good. Welcome. But then in the middle, we got the man. We got all the way from the US of A, Mr. Stephen Howard. Welcome, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
We do have where's the here is this one.
Oh, I feel so welcome.
production value at its finest.
Yeah.
Don't be rolling your eyes at me, lady. Don't be like
I'm
that. Oh man, so I have been literally talking, and first off, Steve, thanks for for those who don't know, Steve lives on the west coast of the US, and it is 1 a.m. over there at the moment. We have been chatting for a couple of weeks. We're going to be like, oh, maybe we should pre-record it. Maybe we'll get the guys to come at a different time. Maybe do this and that. And I think just kind of it's just more of a let's just grit it out. It's 1 a.m. over there. He's going to hang out with us, and he's here. And thank you again, dude. Really do appreciate it. So
yeah, no problem.
Maybe hopefully we don't make you fall asleep.
But
yeah,
that's all good.
I'm sure we can keep you awake, with the stuff we will go through. And hey, at the end of the day, you're just like all of us. You're a Lego fan with, complaints and criticisms, I guess. So all is good. What Brick will say, hi Steve, nice of you to lower yourself to come and do it. Please, mate. This is try to find a Lego show that's been as consistent and as long as we've been pumping it out for. Rick James, g'day, buddy. And I don't mind, we'll have the chat over my face. So if those who don't know, Steve, his Instagram, what is your Instagram name? How's it pronounced?
Gallad,
okay. Is that, what's that in relation to? Like, what's that from?
I had this sort of World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, World War II, Lord of the Rings idea in high school, and I had this airship called the Global Gallad, and in that lore it was the Fighting Fox, and I've just had that email ever since. So I was just like, yeah, why not just call myself Gallad? So now I'm stuck with it, so I can't really change it.
So I guess first and foremost, Steve, you are a digital designer. Some of the stuff, and his Instagram is Gallad as well, GHALAD, for you guys that are watching. Go and check it out. And I do have a couple of builds up in extra photos we'll go through. But
digitally assembled on YouTube. I have to plug myself.
Yes, there you go. Digital assembly. We'll get it up and we'll do it as well. How long have you been building for? Like, you're a long-term, I guess, are you a long-term nerd or you're fresh to the game?
Wait. Before we get started, Bilsy, I've got to say, I'm a massive fan. I've been a massive fan of Stephen for ages, for years. We've talked on Instagram and social media for years. Like, I've been a massive fan of his work.
We were chatting before Henry was on Masters. So.
Yes, a long time. Okay. So everyone who's watching, go do yourselves a favor, and while you're watching the channel, go check out Stephen's Instagram because it's insane.
I agree. It is a next level. It is really. It's one of them Instagrams where you kind of look at one of the pictures of the build, as we'll go through it, and it's kind of like, all right, this is kind of cool. And then you look into the photo, and then it just goes deep. Okay, it's realized what you've done there. Then that's it, and it's like, holy crap, this is like, yeah. So it is really, really good if you guys got a few minutes. Get out there, get him, and definitely suss it out. The other thing I have noticed over the last few weeks, obviously, chatting with you on Instagram and going through it, Steve, that you don't really have a lot of people lean on one thing, and that's kind of their go-to.
Yeah, I was wanting to talk about that. How there are a lot of people who just have a lane and they stick to it. I don't, and I never want one.
You just all over the road. Let's go.
Yeah, whatever I want to do and just have fun. Yeah, man. My friend and my R lug had this. He told me it cost him a pretty penny, but got to hold one of the original Lego ducks, which is pretty sweet.
Nice. So you couldn't buy it off him? He wouldn't sell it to you?
Yeah, he was saying it's like the value of like 3 credit cards or something like that. So
You were bigger than him, though. You could have just
That is cool. You know, it's funny, like especially like even with that one, we were, when was it? Oh, the Leicester Square one in London, when they brought it in. They got the brick built duck.
Mhm.
Recently, we tried to get that, and yeah, the lineup 1,000 deep. They had, I think it was 1,000 at the London store, sold out first day, and that was just the brick replica of the duck. So obviously, it's a Lego Grail, no matter which way you look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, some people look at like what a piece of crap, but you know.
And then
Yeah.
at Lego House, a little 3D printed one
Yeah,
that
that
they
little one.
recently had for the Scareback family.
New Elementary was just talking about that, how they're going to be re-releasing it in at the Lego House for a limited time. So
at
still can't get
our
that,
lug
but-
meeting the other weekend, one of our lug members actually went to Scareback, and he had one of the little 3D printed ducks. So we got to see it, and it was really cool.
That is cool.
Nice.
So can you obviously you can't buy it online. You have to be at the Lego House to get it.
Or
Surely
you
could
can
get
find
3D
out the
printing
3D
stuff.
design and you can 3D print it yourself. There's oh man, I forget the guy's name on Instagram. He actually 3D printed it himself. He figured out how it worked and printed a bunch. So
We've got probably, I think, 3 prominent 3D printers here in Australia that nail it when it comes to the oversized minifigs. Bills has actually got a hot dog. His favorite little
Yeah, I
boy,
saw
fills
that
out the
one.
printed hot dog.
that's pretty sick. I like it.
All right, let's start with go through some ideas stuff. Now we know you're obviously well, I mean, now that I know, I didn't realize you had one that hit 10,000. I knew you had a couple of
Yeah, so
idea things. So explain what ones have you done, what competitions there were, you know, some of the bigger, the 10,000 one you've got,
man.
and I'll go through and find the photos as you talk about it.
Yeah, so original one, it's buried deep on my Instagram. I did a Soyuz rocket, a little bit naive back in the day, and I did a Soyuz rocket digitally, and that got like 3,000 supporters and just died. It's real old.
That's weird. I find that, like, if you got to 3,000, it's almost like, man, you get into 10,000, boom.
Nah, there are like these hurdles and ideas that you got to get over. And I do have, we can go over it, but I have my thoughts of how they can reform ideas. But I started out with that. Yeah, for sure. Like, so I started out with the Soyuz rocket, and it was going nowhere. Then I got into some scuffles with, I've gotten into some online scuffles a few times with the lead guys of ideas over a few things. I won't discuss what they were, but yeah.
It's so good.
And then I did the Gemini space capsule there. And that took, so I originally did it digitally because I couldn't justify spending money on getting the parts because my daughter was just born. Yep. And so I did the whole thing digitally, and it took about 2 years on ideas to gain 10,000 supporters, and a lot of like self-promoting on Facebook, Instagram, elsewhere. And then, so that got 10K, got that nice consolation prize of 500 in the Lego, 500 USD in the Lego store. And but I got denied. And then if you right there, the grand prize winner, scroll back down. That was a contest, and I actually
That's awesome.
Right
That is
here,
cool.
I have the Bedrock Building Champ. They built me this this trophy, and it has a custom printed 6x6 plate with a their own graphic design. So I would say that's probably my rarest part of my collection. Because like I thought,
mean, I guess
they would
there's
just do
only
like a
one of one.
sticker, but they actually like printed it. So I got that and like a crazy amount of Lego sets and another $500 to spend in the Lego store. I don't think they're that nice in the contest ever since.
Have you? I mean, that's what's the brick count of that? Like, I'm just looking at the cliff face and the bricks. Like, that's a big set.
Mm.
Yeah, well, that's all digital because there's no way Lego has
Of
that
course.
many coral pieces.
Yeah.
But so whenever I do digital stuff, I'll stick to all the production colors. But sometimes, depending on what I want to do, I will decide whether or not this is something that should exist in real life. Or, oh yeah, scroll through that and you'll see all the sets I got.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, there's my daughter. So yeah, I won that contest, and then a few others. One thing of note, oh yeah, there's the Starship Jordan Miller. You guys should get the reference.
Yes.
How funny!
So, and I was already chatting with Miller quite a bit, and this way I also got to chat with Jordy, which is pretty cool. And
That's cool.
Starship Jordan Miller.
immortalize them in a Lego
You
thing.
could
that I won.
rename. You could rename that now, like Starship Flash Caitlin.
Yeah,
I like it. I like. That's
yeah.
cool.
So won that contest. It was a space contest, and then there was a the other one I did. I believe was the one you were starting to show earlier was the football one.
The football.
In America we call it soccer, but football.
Yeah.
There we go.
Uh-huh.
That
Yeah.
that nearly killed my machine because it's like 35,000 pieces.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Did you have to render the background as well on that?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
snap!
And you'd know what rendering takes, huh, Henry? Like that's
Yeah,
effort.
man.
That's a machine burn.
Yeah, and I'm one of the crazy ones too, where I won't stick to just studio, or a lot of people use Mechabricks, which I can't stand Mechabricks. The UI is pretty bad.
It's
But-
terrible. It's terrible.
It's really bad.
But there is advantages to it. But I often what I'll do is I'll build in Studio, and I'll export some stuff to Mechabricks because they compile the parts better, but not everything's there. So then I still have to export some of the stuff separately, and then I'll put it all together in Cinema 4D, and then I'll render that. I'll like retexture everything and then re-render.
That's a lot of mucking around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got a for this contest, they didn't plan to have any runners up, but they're like, hey, why not? This stuff is good. Let's do a runner up.
That's cool.
But then after that point, the Beethoven right there, that contest, man, that's when I started noticing things were a little bit screwy with Lego Ideas contest. I was in the top 9 people for that music contest where they made the guitar. That became a set. And
The Fender.
yeah, so that was the one where the Fender became a set, and I was in the top 9 selected. But what was kind of screwy with it is that there was somebody who made a Sony Walkman, and the Walkman was a carbon copy ripoff of someone else's Mach. He got called out for it and booted from the contest, but they didn't rework anything or do over anything, and it was a fan vote. But the thing with ideas is if you have a lot of people, like you have a lot of supporters, or you got a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, for
how
sure.
the BTS got through is twofold. Lego wants money because that's just easy money for them, but also he had a lot of clout. He had a lot of people who followed him. That's how he was able to get 10K instantly.
So yeah, we actually brought that up. We brought that up that g'day Lego man. Was it Thrawn's Revenge?
Oh yeah,
Anyway.
Thrawn's Revenge is pretty cool. He and I chat occasionally.
Hey, Nick. Yeah, we brought that up with the BTS. You know, the only reason that obviously it got through is because, you know, good on him that it did, and you know, congratulations to the designer, obviously. But you know, we were saying that, you know, imagine now what that would open up for that because they've got billions of followers and probably none of them own a Lego set. You know what I mean? So Lego are about to make another quadruple $1 billion on this BTS set, which, to be honest, and you know, I'll fight you for it. It's a piece of shit. Like, it's a couple of minifigs and a facade. Like, it is literally nothing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that like really annoyed a bunch of us. It was the quality. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they harp on people like me and others like, oh, your build's not good enough quality, but that got through. Like,
Oh yeah, it's the worst.
But you know, we all know where it comes from. We all know why it happens. It is what it is.
But in general,
Nick,
there's another
BTS
thing.
is
Like, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
like in general, Lego Ideas is flawed on so many different levels. I talked with a bunch of others who experienced this, who've won contests, and have gotten the 10K, and gotten the $500 consolation prize. When it comes to shipping sets to people, like they'll give you the set that you often see, like the ambassadors have with the not for sale. It's like all the sets I got have the not for sale. Literally every contest I've won, and even the $500 consolation prize, the sets that I selected, they got an order mixed up every single time. Like there's one time I got an extra set that was supposed to go to someone else, like what the grand prize winner instead got sent to me. And then there's a few times where there were missing sets. And what really sucked about it is they can't ship from like a US store. It had to ship from Denmark. So it'd be like a month to a month and a half to ship. And then during COVID, it was even worse. So I was like, how are you messing this up every single time?
Brent said he's never had a problem with constellations.
No, Brent gets those residuals. Brent gets those residuals every 3 months, bro.
He had no problem with his constellations. Just the world had a problem with his final. He's, you know, the one who made it.
Well, so my main ideas that they need to figure out, besides the whole shipping issues that they've had every single time, they need to change up their staff. I've had so much gripe with Hassan, and if they ever see this, sorry guys, but you know my complaints.
All right, Bilsy's got no chance of being.
It's all right. I was going to say nobody watches the show. So.
But you know, one of the things that they like, I honestly believe they need to do is they need to do some like sifting. So like, I think a good idea would be like at 5,000 supporters. That's when they sift everything out to be like, look, okay, we're never going to do this. And they never have to tell you why they're not going to do it, but they should just like cut it out.
Can it?
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. And oh yeah, that's the other one is once you win an idea, you should have a like long period where you're not allowed to submit anything else or get something approved.
Here comes the Brent army.
Yeah, unless you Brent.
I get that. It's just like, it's kind of frustrating when like all these thousands of people are vying for ideas and people unsubscribe. Brent, your stuff is awesome. It's just let some of us have a chance. Yeah, it's just, you know, constantly do it. And
I'm legally changing my name to Brent Waller. Next idea submission, don't worry.
Well, as much as everyone loves Tiago, and Tiago's great, and I've chatted with him online, he's a great guy. No former Lego employee should be allowed, especially a designer, should be allowed to submit to Lego ideas. And they let him, and he got 10K for his Animal Crossing thing. He didn't get accepted, but they let him through. A previous set designer. Like, how much of a disadvantage is that to everyone else?
Yeah,
so like,
I agree.
The reason why he's a previous set designer trying to get back in Lego Ideas and doesn't make it. You know, it works both ways.
Yeah, because he gets paid more submitting an idea rather than working at Lego.
Yeah, people often ask me like, why wouldn't you go work there? It's just because, you know, I would take a huge pay cut to end up working there. And it's not worth it.
Oh,
Like,
g'day,
even for
Boone,
the
by the way.
Like, I originally wanted
offending
to
people
like.
left, right, and center here. So.
It was my dream job to work as a master builder, and I remember going to Legoland, California, and just finding out how hard it was to get the job, but like how little they paid. I don't know if it's changed at all, but like they're paying.
No, it hasn't.
I remember
changed,
back then it was like $15 an hour. I'm like, in California, are you nuts? Like,
Oh,
you take on like 3 other jobs.
At Legoland, you mean?
Yeah, like they get
Yeah.
paid next to nothing. I'm like, these guys should be getting paid the most. It's like, no wonder you have people like Brickman who are like separate. They do their own thing because like if they're at Legoland, they're getting nothing.
From Dave, yeah, don't do it. That's great.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Well, Stephen,
So-
can we ask you some questions? What is the digital software of your choice? Like, I think there's be a lot of people online that would love to hear your take on, like, you brought up earlier on about the Mecha Bricks discussion and all that sort of stuff. And as a sort of person dabbing their toe into the water about digital designing, I find Mecha Bricks like really hard to use. But what's your method? What's your method, and what's your preferred software and things like that?
Bricklink Studio all the way. Like I started like with the Gemini that was in Lego Digital Designer, and
yeah,
I mean, I'm glad they kind of got rid of that because it's so archaic and just hard to use. But it's a good place to start. But Bricklink Studio, there's a huge advantage too, because if you want to buy parts, you may be an odd person if you go to Brick Owl, but most people go through Bricklink.
Yeah.
So yeah, just use, because then whatever you design in Studio, whether you're going to just have something purely digital or you want to build in real life, if you want to build in real life, you just upload to Bricklink and find all the parts you want. And as you're building, unless there's a glitch, which sometimes there is a glitch in Bricklink, it will tell you the price of those parts or estimated price. So then as you're building, you're like, yeah, I could never afford this, which is how most of my stuff I build on digitally. If I used only the real production colors, available production colors, there are times where I'm like, oh, this would be amazing to build. Like I did I don't think I posted on Instagram the whole thing, but I had the Chinese lion statue, like Chinese gate. And I was like, oh, I'm going to build this for real life. I'm designing it the whole way through as I'm going to build it in real life. And then it was like, yeah, this would cost me around $3,000 to $4,000. Nah, it's not going to happen.
Wow. What about your final renders? Because Bilsy, can you look at Stephen's page? You've got some really cool animations. Like, are they through Bricklink as well? You know, like the ones of you did a mock of yourself.
So like this
walking?
is Bricklink Studio.
I already had that up ready to talk about.
Yeah, man. That's sick. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So this is a complex one. So I design everything in Bricklink Studio, and then I bring it. I export. Like I said, I'll export to Mecha Bricks. As much as I hate their UI, like their UI is just the worst.
Garbage.
Yep. So you can, when you export out of Studio, you can export. Usually, the best file is like OBJ, Collada, or FBX. FBX is kind of a universal, but from what I understand, you can only export as Collada. And when I try to bring it to Cinema, it's just a blank file. So I often have to go through a converter from Autodesk, convert it to FBX, and bring whatever's from Bricklink Studio into Cinema 4D. But the way the parts are compiled, it's just not that great. So I will go export to Mecha Bricks, and whatever I can salvage or whatever I have there, I'll keep. Problem though, if you do that, is that Mecha Bricks will flip some of the tiles and some
Heaps
parts.
of them. Yeah.
So you have to keep track. Like if you're building on my scale, you have to keep track of literally thousands of parts and just do a lot of comparison. So I'll then export those, and then a bit of a headache, but when I'm back into Cinema, I bring it into Cinema 4D, I have to match the scale of the Bricklink Studio file and the Mechabricks file.
Yeah.
And then I go from there and I retexture, and I'll use Arnold renderer, Octane renderer. I'm now starting to learn Unreal Engine, so I want to try bringing it into Unreal sometime.
Jeez, it almost sounds just as easy. Just brick build it and stop motion it, man. Jesus.
Yeah, so most people, and what I'd recommend for anyone out there, I do not like Blender whatsoever. I think the UI is bad, but
It's really hard. It's
never,
really hard.
If you've never touched 3D in your life, start there. It's a free tool. Cinema's not free. Cinema is $1,000 a year. So, plus
what was the one you said,
render,
Stephen?
Cinema 4D.
What was the other one you said? The cheaper one?
Blender. It's free.
Blender,
yeah. Blender's horrible. Like you can do I've tried animating. It's really hard.
It's super powerful. It's got a large learning curve.
Yeah.
But Studio only gets you so far in your renders. Like if you look at some of my previous things, like there's that Cosmonaut Space Dog, that's Studio. But I started getting to a place where like Studio just wasn't enough. I had to bring it further. And since I use Cinema 4D for my work, I do like spacecraft and satellites, technical illustration, animation, and video editing for a space company called Maxar. And this is actually one of our spacecraft will be launching next year.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
cool.
Since I'm using those tools for work, then I just keep bring it into Cinema, and so I'll be playing in Cinema 4D for 8 hours a day for work, and then for like after spending some time with family, I have another like 4 to 6 hours at night working in Cinema once again.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And
That's a big effort, man.
That's dedication.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because then once you go to these external 3D programs, you can do things that most software like Bricklink can't, and Mechabricks can't, where you can stylize. So everyone in the digital Lego realm tries to push for realism. At least most do.
Mm.
And that's exciting up to a point. But eventually you kind of got, where do you go from here? And just like we're seeing in the animation world with like Arcane and the Mitchells versus the World, Spider-Verse, all these things are getting more stylized in their 3D.
Yeah.
It's no longer like how realistic can we get? They're like, that's boring. We've tried that. Let's try to be as stylistic as possible. And so
Spider-Verse nailed that.
Yeah. If you go to have on there's this thing called Neon.
So have you done that yet in an animation that we can look at or not?
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, this stuff. So I started doing more stylized approaches. And if you go to YouTube, my digitally assembled channel, the first episode, as cringe as it is, let's see, what's a good point on that first episode? Jump to like the 22:44 second mark.
And which one?
The very first one. Yeah, episode 1. Jump to the like 22-minute 44-second mark near the end. Yeah, there we go. This is the stylized render, and then I'll go through further things where like I'll go to Adobe where they have rigs, like skeletal rigs. You can pre-animated skeletal rigs, and I will build a Lego figure assuming where it's gonna like bend and move, and I'll rig it and or attach it to the rig and animate
That's
it.
sick.
Like this.
Yeah, that is cool.
So yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like how can I stretch the art form and see how stylized I can get. And I don't want to ever conform to anyone's idea of what I should be doing. I guess like I don't just do Star Wars stuff. I'll dabble in it occasionally. I don't just do strictly digital. I'll do physical builds. Yeah, I can't stick to just one thing. It's just whatever I want to build whenever I want to build it.
That's mad.
That's rad. And like you said, it's kind of like you haven't gone in with too much of a plan. As long as you're keeping it real to the Lego, obviously. You add the style to it, and Dan doesn't feel like it takes you a 5-minute job either. Like there's some big, like you said, hours and work of dedication in that, man.
That one's about
obviously
like 60 to 90 hours, something like that. Yeah.
Oh,
Whoa.
jeez.
Stay tuned for episode 2.
Yeah, you could have put a bit more effort in. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I see, Bill. So yeah, I totally agree. No.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. It's not even 4K. Whoa, what is this?
I'll call you Half Day Harry. What's going on?
Coming in with a late birth.
4Ks, that would be rough. So like I've got like a pretty powerful machine from Puget Systems. I got like two 3080 NVIDIA graphic cards, 92 gigabytes RAM.
And you're still struggling on rendering.
Nice.
I like to push things to the limit.
Yeah, well, I got USB 3.
Yeah.
He's got a Commodore 64, Stephen. That's what he's got.
My Commodore 64 is worth more than that bloody powerhouse.
That's why we have tech issues on Wednesdays.
Oh, God. Was there tech issues? Jeez.
So I'm going to show this one, and I can see it obviously in the back of your on the shelf as well.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not going to let me open it singly. That's all right. This thing is next level cool, man. I love this thing. This bust.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What? Not that bust. Where this one come from? Like, why the samurai? Where'd you build? Where the idea come out to build this?
So what I typically do, I actually have some of the parts here with me. So I have a bunch of these. Let me get this in focus. Come on. Minifig eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, I was doing a contest for New Elementary, and I built it's on the Instagram as well, but I built this Aztec warrior. And if you put, minifigure helmet upside down, it looks like an eyelid around it.
Yeah.
And so I just start with that, and you can kind of see that style in a lot of my builds. Like the orc has these.
Man, that's a cool use of parts. You just realize that they're like, that is wicked.
Yeah, so it gives it makes it really challenging because like the minifigure helmet is not like, it's not 1.5 studs wide. It's not 2 studs wide. It's not 1 stud. I mean, it's like 1 and like 0.1 stud wide. It's like this weird width. So you kind of have to like, it is really tricky to build something. That's why I like doing like a lot of character builds. And I have one here on my desk. Oh, so this guy.
Oh.
That's mad.
Cool.
When I had the full figure of him, I actually shared with Ryan McNaught, and gotta say, one of my all-time best compliments. He was like, "Oh, it's really well done, really good job there," and I was like, "Oh, yes." McMahon approves. Life. But yeah, so I started with the eyes for the samurai, and just building a figure. I had no idea where I was going. I was like, this could be a samurai, and I just started building the rest. And then I sat on it for a good 2 years because I realized I couldn't build the full figure. And since this coming weekend is Brickpalooza. It's like Sacramento's big Lego event. I was like, I want to have another thing in the show, so I decided just to finish it up as a bust. Yeah, there's the full figure.
Wow.
It's like
You technically
it's full
could. It's
Sorry,
full
go.
what?
I was gonna say it's like it's full like awesome and creepy and detailed, and then he's got some bright blue Jordans on.
Well, so my R-Lug, we have like monthly contests, and that month somebody suggested like our monthly build challenge. I wouldn't say contest, but a monthly build challenge. And some little kid suggested like, hey, why don't we do 4th of July? And I was like, oh, 4th of July. Okay, cool. Hot dog. So I built a hot dog, and I was like, well, somebody needs to hold the hot dog. So then I built a whole figure.
Build it. Something needs to hold the hot dog. I'm just going to build this amazing thing to go alongside it. Yeah, okay.
And
I mean, you could have built a bun. Like, buns hold hot dogs too.
Yeah.
He could technically stand on his own, but since there's like earthquakes and everything else in California, I was like, nah, I'm not going to risk it. So I put a little stand on his back. But I've taken him apart except for his head. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of have like that ongoing style. Even the this punk rock devil bust behind me, it's also on the page too. This guy, it's got the same sort of eyeball technique.
It's going to be like now. Anyone that I see now using that, I'm like, nah, you stole that from Steven. Nah, get your own ideas, mate.
And this, so this is heavy.
Well, don't be breaking nothing.
Here's one we prepared earlier. Holy dooly.
That's mad.
This one I finished recently.
That's cool.
And it is heavy for sure.
Wow.
That is...
doesn't fit on the screen.
So clearly you work in minifig scale then.
Oh man, that's something I rarely ever do. There's something I rarely do.
Yeah.
Minifig scale. Yeah. So it is like I do prefer building physically over digitally. But it's often just like I just don't have enough parts to do it. And I burn through my parts. Like I was able to do this troll bus because a guy from my church gifted me a bunch of Legos. His kids didn't want anymore. So I was like, sweet, yeah, totally, I'll take that. And I was like, I can build more stuff now. Like I have a lot of Lego out here, but I just don't have enough in like the color I want or the parts that I want.
That Cad Bane is sick.
Yeah, Cad Bane is mad.
Yeah. I know someone.
That was fun. That was a terrible Disney series, but his character was so cool. So I was like, I got to build that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that one
kind
of
obviously
it kind of bugs me though. It's like that was TK Bricks. He often will recolor stuff, and I asked him, I was like, hey man, you want a good digital render? And so I put in Andy's toy room. You can see Woody on the floor over there.
That's very cool.
That's bad.
See what I mean? This is what I was saying about before earlier. When you start dipping in your Instagram, you start realizing that you don't have that lane that you sit in. It's like, okay, that's, oh shit, where'd that one come? Oh man, then that one too. Where'd this one come? I was like, okay, this is cool.
It doesn't do me favors for growth. Some people will get 100,000 followers, and
you mean if someone was to create rapper figs that look like brick links, then just
somebody who just does a couple hundred of those where people just wow, another one of these guys.
Haters gonna hate. Haters are gonna hate.
Another one.
Man.
But again, Steve, you're not doing it to be popular on Instagram. You're doing it because you obviously like each individual.
Yeah, I'm just doing it because it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, if we wanted Instagram followers, we'd be sitting in hot tubs.
Wait, you're not sitting in a hot tub? Oh, this is awkward.
That's my prevention.
My feet are in a foot spa.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, where do we go from that now? I was like, oh Jesus.
Anyway, moving right along.
Out of all the designs that you've built yourself, like mock wise, what is your biggest part count one that you've built? Like you've got a physical one
Ooh,
built.
physical.
Not even you don't
one.
have to give us a number. Like just what's have you gone crazy built into? Like
Currently, I would say that troll bus is probably the most
Yeah, okay.
physical, I mean, the most parts currently.
Yeah.
In the past, though, so it's too expensive for me to bring them all the way over to California. But I grew up in Iowa, the middle of America, and I legit have over 2 tons in weight of Lego, U.S. metric ton,
Wow.
whatever that is.
Wow.
And the cost to get it out here is just absurd. So I have like a huge collection back there that I want to bring. But I used to build massive things like Final Fantasy VII. I don't have pictures of it anymore, but the High Wind had a 4-foot version of this thing.
Holy
And I built that
shit!
in high
4 foot?
school. Yeah, and I built it in high school. And a bunch of other stuff from Final Fantasy. I think that one is probably like maybe 9,000 parts, something like that.
Question in the chat: how long do you keep your models together?
I try to keep them together as long as possible, but there are times where I'm like, no, I got to take that apart. I want to build this. I really have to take. So like even
I
like
need
Lego
them
sets,
parts. Yeah.
like Lego sets.
Yeah.
The T-Rex was one of my. The gate I thought was pretty awful, but the T-Rex from that Jurassic Park set was incredible. But I had to take them apart, sacrifice them to make the orc. So.
It's like
And
you've got
orc is something.
You've got to pull apart a small set. Don't worry about the 2 tons you've got at home. You know, we need that little part off that one little set.
Well, yeah, like the majority of my collection out here in California was actually because of all those Lego Ideas contests that I won. And so I was just like, that's one advantage and one encouragement of people to do digital because it's free, and if you win, you get a bunch of free Lego. So
And doesn't take
Good
up any
point.
space, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So, if you don't have Lego in your collection, like why not do some digital?
I just found a minifig scale build.
Yeah, that was for another Lego Idea contest, but they weren't
Oh, that's
clear
cool.
about what they wanted, and so a lot of people love this, but it got denied in the contest. And I was like, whatever, it was fun.
Oh.
You know what? That's something that you'd get mind blown if you saw that at a show, like a convention, like a real show.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
How's that? You like your hot dogs, huh? That's cool.
Yeah.
So back with your ideas stuff, you're not slowing down. Still create, make more. Next ideas rolling through.
No, I've kind of taken a break from them because I got so burnt out with their system. I was like, no, I need a break from.
Oh, well, we mentioned. You think about it. We mentioned that BTS set that's going to come out, but that wasn't even rock bottom. Like the Hocus Pocus one. What were they thinking there? That one was a shocking release.
Money.
One, yeah, 100%. And it's going to be a McFlop, but
yeah, that's
bad.
why. Like, does Lego love? Like, I know they got a lot of money, but like, come on, is it like financially advantageous for them to constantly give out like, 60 people made it through this round, so let's do 60 times 500 USD for consolation prizes. Like,
obviously we all know as well, talking about the Lego Ideas, so keeping on that same trend, we all know that that Lego full stop just won't do anything military. It's not fun friendly, family friendly, that kind of stuff. So obviously Dan brought it up quickly last week, that BTS, the Korean pop band, now are militarized. Like they've been, they've had to go and serve for their country now. So
yeah,
I don't think it's going to prevent them from doing it.
Right.
No,
you know what? I think you're right.
No,
I think the money is going to talk stronger.
Well, the money, and also they don't do the best job of like. So I got in contention with Hassan over a set that he thought was too militaristic, and that's one of my ideas that just didn't get to even see the light of day. At that point, I was about to quit, but then I did the Gemini after that, and things started rolling.
Yep.
But I had a contention with them a few other times because they had the SR-71 Blackbird. They're like, "Oh, that's not
I love
military."
that.
And I was like,
It's
if you
not,
read
though.
the history,
That
it
is
was a
the-
spy plane.
yeah, man. It literally was built to outrun missiles.
That's right.
And they're like, no, it's the NASA version. I'm like, yeah, read the
Yeah,
NASA
it's the NASA
documentations. They
one.
used it for spying. like,
I mean, let's be
the fact that
real,
they
right? Let's be
they're-
real. Like all those 1970 space programs were militarized. Like,
yeah,
But I had no weapons on board.
no. So like this bugs me. So like
Yeah, this is awful.
the faces don't even
It's
have
terrible.
like not even a generic Lego smile on the faces. Like couldn't do that.
It's just so
and
like
they harp on people so often. Like, well, one of our requirements is you have to have a well built thing, or we won't consider it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
That
That's
hocus
not
pocus
fair.
is garbage. Yeah.
so out of the last ones, Henry, obviously you weren't here last week. Did you see the
Hmm.
4 that went through?
no.
So there was
yeah, I think I
the
did. but-
insects.
yeah.
So there was the insects, which is good because it's different and it's going to be a small set people should be able to afford. There was the train, if it likes to load. Oh, the Polaroid, the camera got through.
That's cool.
The camera got through. The train, the Orient Express. It actually is pretty cool for a train. But we were saying it's probably going to be Harry Potter scale, like that latest Harry Potter one.
Yep.
So you won't be able to even put it on a track anyway.
Mm.
Yeah, right.
Train people will go for it. You know, it's got a good history, all that kind of jazz. Or A-Frame's about to be released in real life. We knew that one. Oh, space art.
I like these.
Yeah, this
those are
one's
pretty
not
cool.
bad.
I'm a
And you know
space
what? I
person.
think, and Steve, I know you said before, like Lego ideas have literally, what have they done for the last 12 months? Dropped the ball in every way you can think, size-wise, theme-wise, creation, all just absolutely shocking.
Cost, everything.
These
yeah.
4 are actually almost like a complete 360. Okay, you know, smaller sets, affordable sets, no IP. It's kind of like they have changed the ranking of who's deciding what's going through.
Yeah.
It's good. I've seen them multiple times try to change their platform. The one thing I'm pretty adamant on is they need to change. A lot of people are like, oh, they need to extend more than 10,000. Like, oh, you need to get 30,000 supporters. I'm like, that's just not fair for everyone in the past or currently that you suddenly have to get
You
way
know what
more.
it is now, though. And you nailed it before with Tiago. Nick and Bricks is the same. You know, all the big YouTubers. I mean, if Jang released the Lego ideas, you know, every single one of them are going to hit 10,000 in a week, purely
Jang
on
Bricks.
fan base. Yeah.
Yeah. Jang Bricks had a bad hot take on my Gemini.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Thorns.
But-
Thorns say I say Polaroids, yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think honestly that's all it should take is just a vetting process halfway through. They know what they're going to deny, so just deny it. Then you don't have to give them $500. Like,
Yeah.
good on you, good luck, you know, great job. You got a lot of supporters, but we're never going to make this. Like, that's fair. Yo, you're doing another modular build? Cool. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
No, that's-
I mean, I know you have that gripe, Henry. Like, it's overrun. And there's this interesting trend too. So, like, if people want advice for like succeeding on ideas, one, you gotta have clout. That's just miserable but true. But 2, like, come up with something completely unique. Like, think of something outside the box. There's an idea that I was gonna do, but then Lego released recently their holiday set with the cable car, and I was like, darn it, because I was going to do something for San Francisco with a cable car, like a animated cable car going up and down. And I was like, well, since they released that, I can't do it anymore.
That's right.
Because I mean, the train is amazing. Like, weird to me that they would actually pick a train since they have so many
Yeah,
trains
we're
out
saying
there.
that.
But like, there's this trend though that you see a lot of people do of like, I mean, I hopped on that trend of, ooh, the Saturn V is successful, so I'm gonna do a space set.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how about not? I mean, like, oh, Hocus Pocus succeeded, so why don't, you know, you'll see like a whole barrage of people doing other Disney house themes.
So you're saying now that BTS has gone through, people are going to bring out Kanye, Taylor Swift, you know, where do we go next?
Exactly.
Rapper brickheads,
Instead of like,
you know.
think outside the box. Think
I'll
something
never
unique.
hand my stuff over to ideas.
No.
Well, that's the thing too. Like people are constantly like, I get emails out of the blue every so often, like, hey, can you, I'll pay for your instructions. And I'm like, well, I can't sell it because there's a stipulation. Once your idea reaches 10K, even if you're denied, you have to wait 3 years before you can sell it.
There you go.
And it was only 2 years ago for me. So like, I still can't sell it. So I just put it on a private Facebook group who are like Lego space enthusiasts, and I let them have at it. And like 15, 20 people have built it already, which is pretty cool. You know, that feels good.
The other thing that Lego Ideas, and you know, shoot me down if you want, maybe call it a coincidence, but I'm just going through the not approved, the ones that have hit 10,000 and not approved. I find it funny that the ones that got not approved, there's now, you know,
Sets.
well, wait, not Wally. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, oh, that's a bit funny, isn't it?
Yep.
How does it work for the Bricklink designer ones that go to? Are they, because this Bricklink's owned by Lego now, right? So does that
Now,
change anything?
It's a separate competition now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if Boone can even talk about it anymore. I should ask Boone since he's had some stuff go through.
Brent's had a couple.
True. And it's funny, like
Brent has. He's just a talented builder. That's why all this stuff.
Brent's just got his fingers over everything.
Just become a Lego designer, man. Just work for the company already.
so isn't it? Is it now, since they've Lego owned, isn't it once you hit the 10,000, they open the door to vote for the not approved to get on the Bricklink? Isn't that how it works?
No, so I was part of that, what I call the class. I'll call them classes. So like whenever you see the quarter of like the 60 so people. So in my class, we were the first to have like, it went from like 30 to like suddenly it was like 60. It was nuts.
Yeah.
And in my class, the only one, if I recall, the only one that got accepted was the globe. Like they accepted one out of all that. And then a few of them got reconsidered for Bricklink program. The ones that got reconsidered for the Bricklink program, though, had zero, what do you call the, not label, but like, you know, no ties to corporations. And so like NASA's a corporation. Yeah, no IP. So NASA's an IP, unfortunately. So Gemini stood no chance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you know the sets. It's funny because like Lego see the winning sets. Say you know your 10,000 class. Lego will pick whatever they want, where they can make, redesign, make a set. And then if you've noticed, what have they done? 3 waves now. I think of the Bricklink designer one. Every single time, every set, you've got to be there on release day, or you're not going to get it. Like how popular that the fan based, you know.
Round
sold
2
out so fast.
Round 2 didn't fly out. Round 1
still sold out.
like that. It did, but it took like a couple of weeks for some of them.
What's crazy too is like they're so I've seen a few where like there's no instruction booklet. It's just like a bare box with parts in it, and you have to do digital instructions.
Yeah, the Bricklink ones are all digital instructions.
Yeah, so these are already all gone, sold out, done.
Yeah, I've got
massive too. It feels like they're getting bigger and bigger.
And then I've got so I ordered the Mountain View Observatory from that round, and then from round 2 I ordered the Mountain Windmill, which I've got in a box somewhere. And then in round 1 I've got the castle in the forest for my partner. So
wasn't it Brent who did the calendar, right?
Yeah, that
Citizens
it
Time.
didn't get up. Yeah.
Oh
Didn't
man,
make it, yeah.
that was one of the ones that I absolutely loved. So
Yeah. Well, if you jump onto his website, you can get the instructions for it.
I like his comment down here too about how they pay. I'm like, I've heard from enough people that
Yeah.
I mean, when you actually consider it, I used to think like, oh wow, 1% of sales. So like a Lego Ideas set getting
Yeah.
31% of sales. But when you realize Lego never officially announces how many sets they sell, but
No.
people have gotten pretty good estimates. Like a extremely well selling set, which would be like the Saturn V, I think a rough estimate is something like 200,000 sets. And so that's not
Yeah.
Sea of Thrones. It's not a lot of money.
So
in the long run.
you look at the flip side of that. You know, you say 200,000 went through for that set. The guy that if it goes through that design, and I know we've been harping on it, BTS is about to bank big.
For
like-
sure.
Yeah,
Is there
Especially
a cap
with
on that
them-
though? Like, is there a cap on how many sets they'll manufacture, or is there like a cap on the time period that you get paid that 1%?
every
for,
set's
or what?
different.
Yeah, they definitely don't release that, but I mean,
The whole population of Korea is buying that set. They're not putting any limits.
But yeah, you think,
Like,
Elena, it's like
the first
look how
10,000
long-
sets or something. Or
no. Well, I mean,
Well-
you look how long that certain sets sit on shelves for compared
like
to
the
others. You know what I
Volkswagen,
mean?
The
Like,
first Volkswagen
Yeah.
Combi that was like 9 years.
some,
yeah, and then
some
the
of
and then the
sets have
second one's
gotta
already finished.
hurt them. Like the
Yeah, the
one,
second
like,
one's crap though.
the one's got to be the biggest
one's
hurt
shit.
for them of all time right now. It's the one I guess I'm not shocked, but like the Hulkbuster, I haven't found a
Oh,
single
man.
positive review from anyone, and I'm like,
Nobody.
man.
Yeah,
The only
you know
people
how
who
much
are
I
gonna
love
buy
Mex,
it
and
so
that
they can
thing looks
rebuild.
terrible.
Let's see if I can get Henry's one up. Henry redone one or done one, which
Oh,
let
let me show you this if it pops up. I saw this meme.
I have some UCS Marvel sets down here.
Just pave it over. Like not gonna deal with that.
And they concreted over. How good's that?
That's hilarious.
This one, yeah,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
that's
I don't
that's
know the
cool.
guy
I mean,
who made that, but that is just a great job.
It was probably Brent.
Stole it off Brent. I
Um,
bought the instructions from him.
Yeah.
but you know, you look at that too, Henry. You didn't design that to fit another Hulkbuster inside the
No,
Hulkbuster.
Oh, I
because I'm not an idiot.
I don't want it then. If I can't fit the little mech inside of it, no one wants it.
But of all the man. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? It's not just us, Steve. Like that is AFOL, that is retail owners, that is literally that
No, it's
Hulkbuster.
everybody.
Yeah.
Worst part is though, for retail, they didn't know it was Hulkbuster. They knew it was Marvel UCS. So I guarantee all these retailers are going, yep, I want 1,000 of them. I want 1,000 one day release. I want 1,000 one for 6 months because Marvel UCS, that's printing money. They get this, mate. They go nowhere.
Like,
They're gonna
Dude, I was excited for it. Like I heard the rumor like a good year ago, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is gonna be awesome. And I was like, really? Why?
Yeah, it's definitely a.
They should have consulted you, Henry. Like, I mean, come on, master of like large mechs. What the? What the heck?
I work for Lepin exclusively, so
Oh, yeah, dude, I remember that whole deal. Like, I was watching you and like several others just get like your stuff swiped
Ripped
from
off.
them left and right.
oh man, it's pretty. It's funny when you think about it now, but you know, like
That's why I keep thinking, like, oh, it's only a matter of time. I know I've made it if they start ripping off my stuff.
oh yeah, bro, it's only a matter of time.
It's a good way to look at it.
yeah.
I was like, oh, thank you.
You've ripped off my stuff. You're so sweet.
I'm just gonna
Yes.
I'm just gonna leave that comment there for you, Steve. You know, you're looking at it the wrong way. Yeah, but I mean, you
no,
know,
it's
Brent,
just-
you did have, you know, you didn't design the Hulkbuster. You had some good sets that people wanted until you decided Seinfeld. But you know, We're done. We've capped the hour. We've filled up on the hour. So
There you go.
what were you going to grab there? Give us a look.
Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say my if I was ever gonna have a Lego set, my company, we're building a satellite launching into space, and so I designed this for fun, and we're gonna have 50 of them given inside the company. So it's the closest I'll ever be to a Lego set, I think.
That's awesome.
But it was a nightmare though. Like it was like 30,000 pieces I had to sort into sets. Never want to count Lego again.
What's it launching on?
It's 2 of them are going to launch on the Falcon 9 off of SpaceX.
Nice. Yeah. Nice.
Hopefully in January. We'll see.
Massive space nerd. I'm excited.
Dude, this has been fun, man. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, I'm glad you came in. And, we haven't had a guest in a long time because, a couple of the last guests just kind of, they wear us down. You don't have no one interesting coming through.
No, Bilsy offends them and then they never come back.
Yeah. Seriously, they unfriend me and block me on Instagram. They don't friend me on Facebook. It's like, all right, whatever.
Stephen, you've survived the gauntlet, mate.
Yeah, it's just like unsubscribe.
Yeah, we'll go tomorrow. You'll see, Stephen Howard no longer your friend.
No, but for real, man, it's been a pleasure. I enjoy talking with people in the greater Lego community, especially Australia. A majority of my people that follow me and I follow are from Australia. I don't know, something about your country is just awesome.
Maybe you got to put Brickvention on your to-do list one year.
Yes.
But yeah, if I've ever got the strength and energy to stay up this late again, I'd be down in the future.
Oh, dude, you let me know a day or two in advance and we'll work it out for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Remember, it was GHALAD on Instagram and then Digitally Assembled on YouTube. As we said earlier, episode 2 coming soon. But no, again, dude, we do appreciate it. And of course, we'll keep and thanks, Grizzly, for putting the link in the chat. We'll keep in touch for sure.
Okay.
It's great to have you on, mate.
Same, dude.
Yeah.